The Canadian Premier League offseason is in full swing, with most teams having released their end-of-season roster moves, a la decisions regarding players with contract options and whatnot. Most meaning Pacific hasn't for some reason, but the other 7 teams all have. And because of that, most teams in the CPL have announced at least a few moves for the team this offseason as they look to build towards 2024. It's been a mostly quiet December on the transfer front for the Canadian Premier League, but there have been a handful of moves that shake things up quite a bit. These are the biggest moves from the CPL of December 2023. First off, we have an intra-league transfer, Shanhundall moving from Vancouver FC to Valor FC. Hundall came into the 2023 season with a lot of hype around him heading into Vancouver FC's first ever season. And in the first quarter of the season, he was right there in the Golden Boot race, scoring 3 goals for the first 7 games. And then he kind of fell off a bit, ending the season with just 6 goals throughout the whole year. Now, a part of that, of course, is due to Alejandro Diaz coming in, making Hundall not really the main man overall, as well as Vancouver's strikers just as a whole and offense as a whole kind of falling off as the season went on. He has left the Vancouver scene, possibly slightly disgruntled with the Vancouver. There are some hints that he wasn't quite happy with the Vancouver FC coaching direction and has now signed with Valor FC. Now, Valor FC in 2023 could not buy a goal. Their top goal scorer on the season had 3 goals the entire year. So Hundall's 6 would be a massive improvement for Valor FC. They also just in general got nothing out of their strikers all year. So Shanhundall comes in and he is earmarked as the man, the number 9 for Valor FC this coming season, giving them something they really need, a striker who can score goals. If he can get some support and is the key piece in that offense for Valor, he could have a very good season for Valor and massively improve Valor's position in the standings heading into next season. As if this team, with the way their goaltending and defense was last season, if they can start getting some goals, they could be dangerous. The next big move also involves Valor, but in a bad way. Matteo de Brienne, the U21 Canadian Player of the Year, has left Valor FC and signed with his hometown Atletico Ottawa. Now, Valor claims they offered de Brienne a significant financial package to stay in Winnipeg, but he chose to go to Atletico Ottawa, and this is just a massive get for Atletico Ottawa. He is an immediate impact signing for Ottawa and is a guy who you can build your team around for the future if he doesn't move on past the CPL. And for an Ottawa team that had a disappointing season last year, this is just a massive signing for them as they try to right the ship for next season and get back into being competitive. De Brienne is exactly the type of player you need to bring in to be competitive in the Canadian Premier League. Huge signing, local talent. He's going to be very popular there, and he should have an immediate impact on Atletico Ottawa as he gets better. He's moving to arguably a better team as well. The next signing is the biggest international incoming signing to the CPL of this offseason. Leighton Brooks, a 22-year-old Australian winger who played all of last season in the Australian A-League for the Melbourne Victory, has signed with Cavalry FC. Brooks is a young left winger. He had 3 goals last season in the Australian A-League. He's a player coming from that level of the A-League, is in a position where he definitely can become an impact player in the Canadian Premier League. And as a left winger, he will give Ottawa a very strong 2-sided attack up front, but they already have Ali Musi, who was the Players' Player of the Year last season on the right wing, and now adding Leighton Brooks on the left wing. That could be a very, very dangerous Cavalry offense next season. Brooks joins Jesse Daly, who joined Cavalry from the A-League at the beginning of the 2023 season, and he was an impact player for Cavalry all of last year. So if that signing is any indication, Leighton Brooks should be a pretty solid player for Cavalry this season. And the last complete transfer I want to talk about is the biggest confirmed outgoing CPL transfer so far of this offseason. Manar James has been sold by Forge FC to Costa Rican giant Alajuelense. James joined Forge for the 2023 season, had a great 2023, is a big part of why Forge won the 2023 Canadian Premier League Championship. He was a finalist for Defender of the Year, losing out to Dan Klomp in that voting, but he was one of the best defenders game in, game out in the Canadian Premier League last season and earns a transfer to Alajuelense because of it. Now that's going to give him CONCACAF Central American Cup football, is going to keep him in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which he already would have been in with Forge, but Alajuelense is a bit more storied of a team in that competition, and he's just moving to one of the historic, more storied teams in CONCACAF. This is a slight upwards move for him, as it just continues to solidify the CPL's position in the global football market when it comes to buying and selling players internationally. Good move for James. He should be a great fit with his physical presence for that Costa Rican league, and he should do very well there. Forge losing James, though, is a massive loss, as Alexander Janssen also is not signed for next season, so there could be a gaping hole in the Forge center back role if they don't replace him soon. Now, finally, there are two more semi-completed transfers I want to talk about. Wuben Pis and Manny Apparicio both have come out and said that they are not returning to their respective clubs next season. Pis to Forge and Apparicio to Pacific. Wuben Pis came into Forge in 2021 as has consistently, year in, year out, been one of the top scorers in the Canadian Premier League. Rumor has it he is getting a lot of attention from MLS clubs, getting what is likely a well-deserved move to MLS coming up. Rumors are leaning towards Nashville SC, however, it still is unclear if it's going to be a direct move to MLS or to MLS Next Pro. However, it is clear that Wuben Pis is not going to be returning to the Canadian Premier League and is likely going on to bigger things. So great news for Wuben Pis. He has done exactly what the CPL is designed to do. Come in to the CPL as a young player, show off that you're great, and then move on elsewhere after a couple of years. So when that signing eventually does happen, congratulations to Wuben Pis. He has well deserved a good move, and I hope he gets a direct move into MLS. The other one is Manny Apparicio. Now, Apparicio has been a stalwart for Pacific the past couple of seasons. He has been their best player consistently for a couple of seasons now, and he has consistently been one of the best midfielders in the Canadian Premier League since the first season of the CPL. He's going to leave a gaping hole in Pacific's midfield when he goes, but he said he is not returning there for this season, and so far we know he has had conversations with both the Vancouver Whitecaps and Toronto FC about signing with them in MLS. As well, supposedly Cavalry FC, Atletico Ottawa, and the Halifax Wanderers are all very interested in Manny Apparicio. Now, whatever team signs Manny Apparicio, you instantly become a significant contender for the Canadian Premier League Championship. Or if he goes to MLS, I think it's a deserved move. I think he wouldn't be an instant impact in Major League Soccer, but he could definitely be a decent substitute midfield player in Major League Soccer, a decent player to have as a depth piece on your roster, especially for a Canadian team where he doesn't take up an international roster spot. It's a shame for Pacific that they're losing him, and for Pacific, the only hope is that he does not sign in the Canadian Premier League. Because if you're losing Manny Apparicio to another team in the Canadian Premier League, that's just not only a massive loss for you, but a massive gain for one of your direct rivals when you're trying to make a playoff spot and trying to be competitive in this league. So for Pacific's sake, hopefully he signs with an MLS club, but whatever team ends up winning the Manny Apparicio sweepstakes is going to be very happy with the player they're getting. So there you have it. Those are the biggest moves that have happened in the Canadian Premier League in December of 2023. That's just the first of 4 months of big moves in the CPL offseason. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more as we get closer to the start of the season, but already we can see how some teams are starting to shake things up and prepare for next season. So that is it for this video. As always, if you like, hit like. If you want to see more stuff, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.